Howdy, brothers and sisters. This is Pike in Anchor Point, in Bethel, Alaska tonight. Starting to rain here. Someone on a snowmobile. Oh, what are those? Ptarmigan. Oh, they're flying right here. Look at all the ptarmigan. Oh, so cool. That's awesome. I hope everyone saw all those ptarmigan. I saw that snowmobile stop. And I was like, what's going on? They kicked up that whole flock of ptarmigan out of the field over there. So if you're just coming on now, watch the beginning of this later and see that whole flock of ptarmigan that just flew past the window. Neat. I gotta come back here when I'm not in training time, I think. So I'm Pike. I'm normally living in Anchor Point, Alaska. I'm learning how to be a village public safety officer. So this is my first bit of training, a 3-week police academy at Ute Academy in Bethel, Alaska. And I'm going to do some reading for us tonight from Orthodoxy, like I normally do. So I'll get into the reading. Let me pull up a chair. I think you can still see me. Yep, there we go. Obedience is Better Than Sacrifice by Nikolai. As the Lord has great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices, obeying the voice of the Lord, behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed than the fat of rams. 1 Kings 15:22. Obedience is better than sacrifice, for it is through obedience that our sacrifices are made just. If one were to sell all that he had, yet deny his own family the necessities that are bound to his commitment, he would find himself lost. Again, if someone were to subject himself to the most righteous Lenten regiment, yet not be moved to amend and edify his habits, it would all be for naught. Where the value in the sacrifice? Where is the value in that sacrifice if it has not been stripped of obedience? The law is given to us by God not for his own benefit, but for ours, that we, through obedience, may properly offer up our sacrifices of worship in spirit and in truth. Christ himself, the ultimate example of this virtue, was obedient to the law unto death, so that we may be free from the tyranny of the law and free to love. Christ's willingness to endure crucifixion for our sake was his obedience dictating his sacrifice. Father, if it is your will, take this cup away from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. St. Luke 22:42. Christ's willingness to die for us displays his adherence to the will of God, the Father. Virtue holds no value separate from the law, because the validity of our actions comes from the subjugation of our hearts. The life of a Christian is submission. It is in the name of sacrifice done without obedience that schisms occur. Through obedience, we have unity in our family lives, civil dealings, ecclesiastical styles of worship, etc. Society seeks peace and tolerance through secular means of acceptance, but this is unattainable without obedience to the greatest commandment. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang the law and the prophets. St. Matthew 22:36 through 40. Howdy. You can come in. You're not bothering me.
Oh.
You're all good. I'm just reading on YouTube.
I'm grab these. I'll bring it back.
No worries. Seek meekness, patience, humility, and structure. Rebuke yourself when you feel pride from within you begin to stir. Subject your flesh to adhere your soul, just as your soul adheres to God. And above all, remember the frailty of humanity. Be mankind's servant. Owe no one anything except to love one another, for he who loves another has fulfilled the law. For the commandment, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, you shall not covet. And if there is any other commandment, are all summed up in this saying, namely, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no harm to a neighbor, therefore love is the fulfillment of the law. Romans 13:8-10. The snowmobile stopped over there, and there's like 100 ptarmigan that flew right past the window. So neat. Well, thank you so much. So I guess I can read for a little while longer yet. I'll read more article for us. So the next article that I'm going to read is called The Meaning of Suffering by Father George Calciu, who was a prisoner under the communist regime in Romania. Like in other communist countries, the government was atheistic and waged war upon the Orthodox Church in hopes of exterminating traditional Christianity. In Father George's situation, the authorities imprisoned young Orthodox Christians and exposed them to extreme physical and psychological tortures in hopes of re-educating them into dedicated youths of communism. As in other countries, the government plan backfired, and instead of eradicating the church, it gave it more martyrs, confessors, and fervent, unwavering saints. After suffering under the cruel hands of communism, Father George was asked about the tortures he experienced and the intense suffering that came with it. This answer puts our own lives into perspective. For today, we complain about the smallest amount of suffering that befalls us and find ourselves complaining to God. This is the answer of a man who bore sufferings that we cannot even begin to understand or comprehend. Let me throw my laundry in the dryer real quick. Bear with me. What can I tell you? In my arms, people have died who were 1,000 times more valuable than I. In prison, many who were more valuable than those who survived have died in the arms of other men. And yet I, a sinner, am here. And to speak of myself again, whether to say what good I did or what wrong I did, it would still come out as bragging. So I find it very difficult to talk about these things. Generally, many words of praise have been said in relation to this. All this is dust and ashes, all vanity, but we continue to hold on to what we have received from God and what we have managed to keep through suffering, or through success, praise, or blame. Thus, we remain faithful to the church and our nation. My life in Romania was full of events, for better and for worse. I do not accuse or blame anyone. All these were sent by God to exercise my soul. Someone asked me if my sufferings in prison helped me in any way. I answered, no, they have not helped me, but I am the result of suffering. If I do something, if I am anything, if you see something in me, know that it is because of suffering. Without the suffering, I have nothing. Perhaps all of the difficult questions for the human person, suffering is the most inexplicable. Why is suffering necessary? I have lived an experience of suffering that enriched my soul, and I believe that suffering was necessary for me. but it is very difficult for someone to accept this principle. When we were in prison, we asked each other, why suffering? Why us? Of the millions of Romanians, why have we been chosen to suffer? What is the purpose? And God wouldn't reveal anything to us. Every day we cried out to God to give us less pain, and He seemed to grant us even more suffering. Even after I was liberated from prison, I held within me this imprint of the pain, which seemed to mark my whole life thereafter. After the second imprisonment, I immigrated to the West and traveled through every country in Europe and America, speaking about the results of communism. My intention was this: I could not keep silent as long as suffering, injustice, communism, the destruction of churches, and the destruction of the human personality took place in my country. In my wanderings, I call upon a monastery. In my wanderings, I came upon a monastery and slept in its library. It was a Catholic monastery. In its library, I found among many books a small booklet of Christian sayings. I opened it randomly to a page where I saw a reflection of Paul Claudel, a famous French writer. He said this: Christ did not come into the world to eliminate suffering. Christ does not even came into the world to explain it. Rather, he came to fulfill human suffering with his presence. Have you heard to fill human suffering with his presence? Then I understood that when we weep, or we revolt or cry out, God, what are you doing to us? He is present with us more than ever despite our sins, all our infirmities. He filled us with our suffering, with his presence. Thus I understood exactly the deep meaning of this pain. God is present in us. Translated by Elena Chiru from Living Words, pages 138 through 39. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for joining me. I'm going to call it on the stream for tonight. I have to do some more studying. I've been studying hard, but I hope you recheck out the beginning of this and get to see all those ptarmigan that flew past the window. I hope I get to see more of them, but I'm not allowed to go wandering. I'd be out in that tundra right now. I love you all, and as always, God bless.